Hey everybody, sorry I'm late for my demo today. I got kind of discombobulated, and usually when that happens, it's always downhill. But I'm going to give it a go anyway. If we get to a point where I have some difficulties, I will just stop the video and we can continue another day. If you don't catch this right away, you can always watch it on the replay later on. This is generally a pretty simple bracelet. I haven't picked it up in a little while, so I kind of forgot what I was doing. I had gotten into two stages. I mean, I have to be honest, stuff like that happens. And it's really pretty straightforward till you get to the second, like to the double part. And I kind of just like forgot what I was doing. I had like a ginormous brain fart. So I was trying to get that worked out, and I think I have it, and we'll see. So I'm going to get started with the materials that we need. Um, I'm just making sure that my laptop is up to speed here, that we're on the same page. Hi, Carol. Uh, okay, and we'll just keep going. So what I'm using for the supplies for the double zigzag bracelet, crystal bracelet, I don't know where I went. Hey, Deb. Hi, Jerry. All of a sudden, my laptop screen is not working. So are you guys seeing me? I'm going to have to, I don't know what I'm going to have to do. I'm going to try to refresh the page. If I lose you guys, I'll start all over again. But hopefully I'm on here, or it's working. See, that's another thing. I probably shouldn't even be doing this today. All right. Hey, Deb. Hey, Jerry. Hi, Donna. Oh, okay. Well, I can make a fool of myself in front of all you today. We'll see how it goes. Anyway, this is the uh, double spiral crystal bracelet that that I'll be attempting to do in the demo. And what we need is, what I'm using is 6-pound fire line. I like to use the smoke color with most crystals. Unless you're using like a white crystal or something that's really see-through, then you might want to go to the white uh, thread. But the smoke is my preferred color, and 6-pound is my preferred size. It's a nice medium, not too thin, not too thick thread. Okay, so that's that. And I'm going to be using about 3 yards of the thread. When you're working with large or long amounts of thread, it's probably best to keep most anything away that could get caught or snagged in it, because inevitably you will get snagged. I am also using a size 12 beading needle, just a thin little guy, and I'm going to thread my needle. You may need to use a needle threader, but I was able to get this one on in one try, so that's good. And on the other end, the opposite end of the needle, I'm going to put a stop bead on there. And all that is, if you're not familiar, all that is a bead that you thread on the back end of the thread. You have this little bead on here. Maybe you can't see it. It's just a little, it doesn't matter what kind of bead you use. This is an 11-0 that I've got on here. And then I'm going to take that tail end of my thread again, and I'm going to go into that bead from the opposite side. So it captures that bead in the thread, and I'm going to leave myself about a 12-inch tail. So here's that little bead on there, if you can see. And I've got about 12 inches of thread on the other end of the needle. Okay, then I am using, I'll turn the camera down here. I am using 11O seed beads in this particular one that I'm doing. Let's see here. I've got 11 O's right here in this little pile. And I've got 15s, 15O beads in this pile. And then I have 4mm crystal bicones that I'm using. Okay, so I've got my tubes and I'm just going to keep them off to the side so I don't get my thread caught up in there. I'm also going to be using a few size 11 in the same color as my 15s, which is antique bronze, I think it is, or just bronze. I've just got a couple of these size 11s. I'll show you when I use them. Hi, Dawn. Okay, and then I have a trailer hitch clasp or a ball and socket, whatever you want to call it. Some people call it by different names. But it's just a two-part little clasp, and it works great for these more delicate bracelets. So hopefully you can see that all. All right. And I always keep a spare needle on hand just in case I break my needle, but hopefully that won't happen. So anyway, I just keep my needles in a little piece of felt, and that keeps them pretty handy. Okay, so now this is a pattern that my friend Mary Johnson gave me, and we did this pattern when I used to have my shop. Some of you people will remember that that are on here that used to come to my shop, and we did that a number of years ago, probably at least, I would say, probably at least 13, 14 years ago, something like that. And it's a pretty bracelet. It's really you can make it in a variety of different colors. It's just really, really nice. You can use it with these particular crystals that I'm using today are a double AB. They were made by Swarovski, which are, they're not around anymore, but there are other brands of crystals, bicones out there, but they don't seem to have the double AB finish on them. You might find some just the single AB finish, which are still nice, but they really, the double AB really changes the color a lot. So it just makes it really nice and sparkly. So, all right. And there'll be a handout. Mary was gracious enough to reprint the handout, and she put some color pictures along with it to help out. The first part of the bracelet's really pretty straightforward, no problem. It's making the transition to the double part that can give you a little bit of a headache. But anyway, we'll get started with this. So the first course of business is we're going to put 5. I'm going to get my cheaters on here. We're going to string 5. I'll make sure we are lined up all right with the camera. We may not be. I don't know how close I can get that you can see it all. Maybe that's better. think I have to come back a little bit here. All right, I'm going to pick up 5 11-0s. That's 4. Pick up 5. And bring these all the way down to the end of the thread, to where my stop bead is. Okay. All right, I've got my 5 seed beads on there, and I'm going to put 1 15, 1 bicone, and 1 more 15, and bring those down as well. Okay. So we want to avoid this stop bead. I'm going to pretend it's not there. Then I'm going to take my needle and I'm going to go up through the 5 11-0s, not through the 15 or the crystal, and pull my thread. When you're working with a long length of thread, it can get pretty tangled. Okay, so that is the first little section. Okay, so I'm going to go back through. I'm going to put my needle through the last 2 seed beads that are on that little 5-unit one right there. Hope that you can see this. Trying to check myself out here as I am talking to you. So I'm going to go back through those 2, and I'm going to pick up 3 more 11-0s. And I'm going to pick up a 15, a crystal, and a 15. I'm getting myself in a knot right away. Like I said, that is the problem with threads. They can get in your way very easily. So I'm bringing all this down. Hang on just a second here. All right, then I'm going to go back through the last 2 here from this end. Back through those 2 and through these other 3. So that's the first, well, that's the second. Yeah, Mary uses Thread Heaven. I guess they don't make that anymore, but she always conditions her thread. I'm kind of weird that way. Okay, so now we're going to pick up 3 more. Another seed bead, another crystal, another seed bead, and then go back through the last 2 that were on the section above. You're always going to go past through 5 beads on the way back. Okay. So I pick up those 3 that I just added. You can see, I hope you can see. Now I've got 3 on there. I'll pick up another 3, 3 11s, 1 15-0, 1 crystal, 1 15-0, and then I'm going to go back through these last 2 on here and pull all your thread through again. And it will get hung up, like I said, the thread will get hung up on whatever is laying around. Oh, and I missed this. So I have to take my needle off. I missed a bead. I skipped over one. It's not a big deal at this point. You can just take that out. It's just that it's a lot of thread to deal with. All right, so we're going to go down here. I think my, oh no, my 15's still on there. Sometimes if your thread is just not wanting to go through the little eye, other than using a needle threader, you can just squash the ends of your thread just a bit with a plier, and it flattens it out a little bit so it passes through the needle a lot easier. Okay, so I've got those on there. Now I'm going to go through again the last 2 from the previous section and the 3 new 11-0s. And you do not go through the 15 and the crystal on this step, on this part of the bracelet. 1, 2, 3. And this is how it's going to be for the whole length of the bracelet. This part actually works up pretty fast by itself up until you get to the length. You want to get up to about 1.25 inches. You need about 1.25 inches for the clasp area. So you want to keep that in mind as you're getting up further with your beads. So it's this continual repetition of 3. Put these closer together. You can make this a bracelet all by itself without doing a double row. This would just be I guess, a standard zigzag, and the other, by attaching another row, makes it the double. But these are very pretty, just like this, as a bracelet. They're just a little bit more delicate looking. Now, I'm not going to do the whole thing all the way up to the end. I've got another one already ready for the second row, but I want to go through this a little bit, just get a little bit of length on that. Before we go to the other part. So you're always catching the last two from the previous ones you placed on, and then the new the new 3 beads that you put on. So you're actually putting the needle under 5 beads each time for your little unit, or whatever you want to call it. Make sure that you keep your tension tight. I love these double AB colors. I just think they're so pretty. The last two from the unit before. The other thing when you're working needle and thread and small beads is that you should have really good lighting, and you should have good magnification. If you need extra magnification, you should make sure that you have that. You'll do a much better job if you can see what you're doing. I mean, I know that sounds ridiculous, but you have to really be able to see. It's so easy to miss a bead, or miss the thread, like skip a bead, and you have your thread showing. That is not going to be good in the final outcome. But, when I used to teach in my shop, I had some people who, um, mostly like people that are a little bit on the older side, like myself included. Um, you think you can see well, but maybe you aren't, because it shows in your work. If you aren't seeing it properly, it will definitely show up on your work. And such a small thing as a pair of cheaters and a little extra lighting can make a huge difference. Now you can tell, at least I hope you can tell, that it's working fairly quickly, into a bracelet, into the length. I mean, we're a far way off from the length needed naturally. Let's see here. Thanks, Donna. Yeah, these particular colors, the crystals, these are blue zircon 2AB, which I love that color, blue zircon. And then, searching through my seed bead stash, I found a tube from Wimbeads, wimbeads.com, and these are the color-lined seafoam ABs. This is just a real pretty color, and it just, I think, really looks nice with the blue zircon crystals. And the bronze, this is the light bronze Mayuki size 15s. I think that was a good combination. Sometimes, sometimes you win and sometimes you don't, getting the color palette just right. So I thought that was a good combination. All right, let me go back here. And you can hold your work. I think it's easier if you hold on to your work, but sometimes you have to lay it flat to work on things. But this one, as we do the double spiral, will be um, turning the pattern back and forth, working on one side, then working on the other side. But we don't have to do that with this. Well, I guess we do, really. You are kind of turning it back and forth. Okay, 3 and 1. I tried to stock up on a lot of crystals before Swarovski went, well, they didn't go out of business, but they stopped making these beads. They still make other glass pieces, but not the beads. And if you're lucky, you can still find some of these, but your color choices may be limited. The double ABs, they're a special coating or special process, I guess. And I don't know anybody else who does that. There's Preciosa, I think that's how you say it. Those crystals, and if I do end up making kits, those are the beads that I'm going to have to use because I can no longer get the others. Um, but they don't have as many beautiful choices as Swarovski did. So you need about, depending on the size bracelet that you need for your wrist, you're going to probably need between 50 and 60 crystals. Uh, just a little ballpark there, depending on your wrist size. And I have a lot of crystals, but I can't say that I have enough of any particular color to make more than one bracelet. So I'm not really sure. I mean, because a few of you have asked me about making kits, and I've got plenty of the seed beads and thread and all the other stuff, but finding pretty crystals might be a little bit more of a challenge. Okay. All right. So hopefully you've gotten the gist of how this is going, like that. And you would just do this all the way up to the end of the length with um, leaving that 1¼ inch allowance for your clasp. All right. All right, so I'm going to leave that as it is right now. And what I'm going to do on this is I'm going to just add the clasp. This is like a little baby bracelet. It's not really, but I can go ahead and show you, because I'm already working on another one. I've got the other section here, and I flubbed up at the very top, so I have to take this section apart. And I don't know that you guys want to see that, uh, but I'll try to just continue on with this as far as putting on the clasp. Yeah, Deb, this is a great just for the girls bracelet. Yeah, I think I don't know who wouldn't like a little bit of bling, uh, honestly. All right, so when you get to the end, to the length that you want, you're going to add um, 4 seed beads. Okay, 4 seed beads, a crystal, and one more 11-0. I'm sorry, these 4 that I added on here were 11s. Okay. Hi, Wendy. Okay, so I have caught on my bead mat here. Okay, so 4 11s, a bicone, and one more 11. And then I'm going to take one end of my clasp, it doesn't matter which end, and thread that on. Okay, so you've got, let me make sure I'm in the frame here. Okay, so you've got the 4 11s, crystal bicone, and one more 11, and your clasp end. Now I'm going to go back through the 11 and the crystal only. Pull my thread through. Hi, Kathy. Okay, okay, so I've got those pieces on here. Now for the tricky part. Once you get past this tricky part, then the rest of it's easy again. But this is where I get hooked. I get crazy right at the beginning. So I'm going to add 2 11s, a 15, a crystal, 15, and one 11. Pull those down. And then I'm going to insert the needle into the 4 seed beads that I had just put on, and then go up through those 4, the 11-0, and the clasp. Okay. And then I want to pull that down so there's no gap, so you don't see the thread. Okay, sorry, I had to look at that again. All right, so now I go back through the clasp, This is how we secure the clasp on. And then I'm going to go through the 11 at the top and the crystal and come out the bottom of the crystal. I'm doing this on the opposite side of what I just put on. Okay. And then I'm going to do 2 11s, a 15, a crystal, and 1 11. And then I'm going to go back through those 4 beads and the crystal, the 11, and the clasp again. Okay. So now I have the beginning of my second row, my double row. And now I'm going to come back down through the 11-0 and out those 4 crystals. I'm sorry, the 4 11s. And then out through this 1 11 right there at the bottom. If I could have grabbed them all at once, I would have, but I couldn't. Okay, to this I'm going to add, this is the tricky part for me. I'm going to add, and I may make a mistake, so bear with me. I'm going to add 3 crystals. I'm sorry, 3 11-0s. Add 3 11-0s, and then I'm going to take my needle and go up the bottom of the crystal of the 11, of the 15, the crystal and the 15, come out that way. Okay. I'm going to come up this other 11 also. Okay. Now I'm going to take my thread and go back through these 2. I'm going to add 3 crystals, 11, crystal, 11. And come down through these 3. I think I might have this wrong. This is where I get tripped up every time. Yeah, I did that wrong. Oh dear. But this is how this is when you're working with little beads and threads. I think I want to go in the other way. Thank you for being patient, you guys. This is it's frustrating sometimes when you think you've got it and you don't. It's frustrating and embarrassing. But I know we're all friends here, so this is not right. I have to look at my other one. Hang on a second. Okay, take these off here. It does take patience, and when you get a little nervous about something and you're doing it in front of somebody and you want to show that you're not a complete idiot, that's when you screw up. All right, so all right, I'm going to take this as a reference here. Okay, and I put my 3 on. I'm going back over one that I did that I was working on earlier. And sometimes that's the best way, is to deconstruct. So, yeah, I think that that actually was right, but it didn't look right. Now, if I don't get these things all tangled up, it's two. And now add my 3. Okay, and now I'm going through these last 2 and these 3 that I just added on, just the 11s we're going through. Oh, I forgot my my 15 on here. Rats. It fell off, I guess. All right, I'm going to do that again. There. There's my 11. My 15. Little sucker. Because, you'd be unhappy if you didn't put it back on. You'd always notice that something was missing there. All right, so now I'm going through the last 2 beads on this little section here, and then going through the new 3 11s here. Come on, hand. Just through the 11s. And pull that all down. Okay. All right. So now I've got that section on there. And this is going to be a repetitive thing here. These are all connected. Make sure your tension is tight. I'm going to pick up 3 more 11s. And then I'm going to go through the bottom of this middle crystal. I'm going to go through the 15, the crystal, and the 15. Pull the thread through. Well, I didn't do that right. Oh, spend your time with Sue, they said. It'll be fun, they said. Not. Sometimes, okay, that didn't have to have. That just has the 3 seed beads on here. Keep your work in the right position. Sometimes they get turned, it gets turned around, and it really makes you go off kilter. Okay. I keep flipping this thing around unintentionally. So got my 3. Needle back in here, my thread back in. And I'm going to go back up. Then get these 2 here. The last 2 from the previous unit. I don't think you guys can probably see what I'm doing because my hands are in the way. And your needles will get bendy, and that's okay. You can work with those needles until they break, actually, or they drive you crazy. Okay. All right. All right. Now I'm going to get 3 more crystals. 15, crystal, and a 15. And I'm going to come back on the last 2 from the unit and the 3 new ones. And it's a repetition of this all the way down. It's probably clear as mud. I guess if I realized I was going to do a short piece just as a demo, I could have gotten by with a lot less thread, so I didn't get all hung up in this. You see how it's taken shape where this is making the double zigzag. So now it's 3 again, 3 11s. We're going to go up the bottom of that 15, the crystal and the 15, pull it through. Pull your tension. Go down the last 2 from the unit before and those 3 that I just put on. So you're always going through 5 total. Then pick up 3 11s, a 15, crystal, and a 15. Bring them all the way down. And then you're going to go back through the last 5 beads. Wait a minute. I guess I only put 2 of those 15s in. It's just Sue's shit show today. But gotta do it right. So 3 11s, 15, crystal, and a 15. Bring those all up. Then I'm going to go through the last 2 from this middle bead and down the 3 new 11s. Pull it all through. If you have a little perseverance, you will do this. It will happen. It just takes a little bit of futzing around. Okay, so 3 11s again. Up the bottom of the 15 in the middle, crystal and 15. Okay. Then we're going to go down the last 5. And I have pictures of all of this in the handout, so that may help you a little bit better. Mary had taken pictures along with her instructions, and then which are fine. And then I did some pictures step by step that I did in a manner that I could understand a little better because I am totally a visual learner. I kind of struggle with written instructions unless they are the absolute most basic. And, that might help you a little bit better. But you can see, that it's coming along. It's just a matter of sticking with it and recognizing your mistakes and taking the time the patience to, undo it if it needs to be undone and make it right, because you won't be happy if you have some skipped beads or thread showing or something like that. Well, maybe you would, I don't know, but I wouldn't be. And we want to try to make these things as neat and nice as possible. So it's just the repetition of these two steps now all the way down to the end, where you want to put your clasp on. So I would suggest, as you get closer to the length that you want, to pick it up and put it around your wrist and see that you've got, what length you've got left, that inch and a quarter space that you should allow for the clasp. And then once you get that other clasp on, you want to reinforce the bracelet. And by reinforcing, all it is working your threads through all the way through your bracelet again to make it stronger. It takes a little bit of time to do that. It's not the most fun, but it really will ensure that your bracelet's going to stay together and not fall apart, as sometimes beaded projects can. But it's just that repetition of the 3 beads going up the bottom through that middle crystal. Pull your tension and then go down 5 beads. So it's a little tricky to maneuver your needle around, but it can be done slowly and carefully. So that was the one step, was you're putting those 3 beads and going up through the center bead. And then the next one is putting on 3 11-ohs, a 15 crystal, 15. Bring your beads down and then go. You can just count backwards 5 beads and put your needle in there so that your needle is going down those 5 beads, just the 11s. Just like that. So that's a repetition that you'll do throughout the whole length of your bracelet. So it's not a difficult bracelet. It's just that you can get tripped up when you are switching over from the single zigzag to the double after you put your clasp on. And you just keep on going with it till you get your length. And once you get your length done, then you can go in, and like I was saying about reinforcing your thread, you would take, let's see, I'll take one that I've already done just to show you the reinforcing part, in case you're not familiar with what I mean by that. Take my needle off here. So I'm just going to grab some thread, but your thread would already still be connected, because from your bracelet you're working on. But I'm just showing you this so you can see for anybody who doesn't know what that means, to reinforce your thread. And, like I said, it's not the most pleasant job, but just keep in mind that you are uh, protecting your investment of time that you've already put into the bracelet. So say I'm down here and my thread, uh, say I've got the tail end of my thread sticking out, okay, and I want to work that tail end in. So I'm going to pretend that this is already connected to the bracelet, okay? All right. So I'm going to just pass the thread through like the outside the beads right there and just follow where I've been. It doesn't have to be perfect, like, if you skip a few or whatever, um, that's okay, but you want to make sure at least where the crystals are. Can you see what I'm doing? I'm just going through the bracelet, pulling the threads through. I'm going to go back through this crystal. Because those are the most vulnerable places, I think, where the crystals are. And I'm going to come back up through that same place that I was just at, just making sure that your threads don't cross over anything, that you're staying within the bead or beads. And I can come up here, this one bead, and then hit the middle bead here, the middle row. And I'm going to go back down here to these three that I didn't do. Well, I already did it. The more you reinforce, the tighter the space becomes in your beads. So uh, I don't think you have to worry about that so much. I guess it came down one bead too far. Because I don't want the threads to show going in and out. But the thread becomes it becomes harder to pass through, especially through the 15s because they're so much narrower. But you would do this all the way up one side and all the way down the other, and that way you could be sure that it's as strong as you could possibly make it. But that is weaving your threads through. And actually, it gives your bracelet a little bit more, oh, I don't know, it's not as floppy. I mean, it still has a lot of give to it, but um, it's not flimsy at all, put it that way. When you do something with a single thread, sometimes it feels a little bit flimsy. And if you work more thread through it, it gives it a better feel and it also gives it more strength. Okay. So you just keep on doing it till you get to the other end and then work down the other way. So I hope that you understand what I'm talking about as far as that goes. But it does give it a better feel uh, because it's a little bit more solid. I don't know. It's just not flimsy. So that's that. I wasn't. It would take too long to do the entire bracelet from start to finish, but just so that you see the pattern, um, and the first line, like I said, is no problem at all. you can breeze through that pretty easily. But Mary printed up her directions, her instructions for this, and then she made corresponding photos to go with it, which was really great. I did my normal handout with individual shots also to help you. It's sometimes I will get like a little bit of a mental block, so to say, on a certain technique, and it has to make total sense to me. Sometimes it doesn't, and sometimes it won't until you stick with it a little bit, and then you eventually see the pattern emerge. Um, and Mary, I think Mary was getting, she was a saint. She was a saint showing me how to do this. But I kept saying, but this one section, this one part, and it's like I was the one not getting it. Um, she was telling me correctly, but I just was not getting it. But once you get it, um, I would suggest it's just like doing kumihimo. Once you learn that technique, it's best to do another one right afterwards, and then maybe another one, and anything that has repeating patterns like that, um, it's just a good idea to stick with it till you know that you've got it firmly implanted in your brain. um, I could pick up kumihimo any day of the week, even if it's been years since I've done it, because I've done it so many times. That's one of my muscle memory things that is down pat. This will be that way after I've made several more bracelets, but it's like I'm never a one and done kind of person, unless it's something I really don't like. Uh, but what I mean by that is usually the first time around, I don't have the total grasp on on the technique, and it's the reinforcement of, or the repetition, I should say, of doing it over and over again that really implants that firmly in your brain. So I hope that you try it out. Like I said, initially I wasn't thinking about kits because of the crystal color availability, but if you don't care what colors I'm able to get, whether they're A, B, or not, if they're just a plain finish, um, I'll consider doing some. And of course, that's going to the cost of the kit's going to depend on the cost of the crystal. So I don't know. I don't have a figure in mind at the moment, but I'll try to figure that out. And I was looking through the Beadsmith. I have an account with them, and I was looking through their crystals the last few nights, and um, some of the ones that I really would, I don't know, they have a lot of blues and they have a lot of purples. I'm not a big pink person when it comes to uh, bracelets and things like that. Um, but more neutral, maybe black or a smoke or something like that. Um, I may have just those kinds of pictures or colors to choose from. So, and I figure I can get probably two kits from one order, I think from a gross of crystals. So I don't know. If you're not picky about colors, I'll consider doing it. But if you are, then it won't be for you. Um, but we'll see. We'll see what I can come up with. I just don't want to buy a lot of crystals and then end up not having uh, any way to offload them. Whatever. Deb Henready says, "Good news, being older. I can assure you that at a point you don't even know you forgot." Isn't that the truth? I was so flustered earlier. It was like, what am I, brain dead? I just made three of these like a week ago, but it's been a week. And, I just figured I could pick it up and just keep going. But In the meantime, I've done a bunch of other things and kind of forgot about this, and there you have it. The brain's not so fresh anymore. All right, well, thanks for watching. I have a fun project coming up in 2 weeks, which involves enamel, and I haven't done enamel in a while, so I think that'll be fun. So we'll do something like that. So thanks for sticking with me. If you want to hang around, well, later, you don't have to hang around. I will post the instructions, the handout. This will also be on the YouTube channel, so you can always pull that up if you want to watch it again. And we'll go from there. So thanks for being with me. I always appreciate you guys being with me and being my cheerleaders. So take care. Bye bye.